we've all been that guy in a hurry, right? But I said, I think if you talk to people like they're intelligent, and you show them the difference between a good product, American engineered product, and a crapola product, I think there are still some people out there that might be willing to buy it. So we designed the superior product, and we set out to make quality American Go Green products. Now, I promised old Larry I wouldn't give a pitch, but I'm a passionate bugger, and there's a few things that I care about. When people talk about manufacturing green, going green, creating jobs, buying stuff locally and all that stuff, as I was saying earlier, it's real easy to say it. Sometimes it's real hard to do it when the parts from China are a lot less. When the circuit board is 40 cents versus $3 and you need 3 of them per component. When the wire harnesses that come from China are 40 cents and the ones locally are $3. It's hard. It's hard to put your foot in the sand and say, this is what I'm willing to do, this far, no further. I don't mean to be a boastful person, but I'm a proud individual. The product that we make right here, and I'm not going to talk about how it works, I would just like to talk about what it's made of. If you know plastic, this box is made out of polycarbonate. It's Lexan. It's the finest plastic on the whole dang planet. Every jet windshield in the Air Force is made out of this plastic. Did we have to use this? Would anybody ever know? No, didn't have to. We do because we're going to charge a tiny bit more for it, so I wanted to make it the very best it could make. This is indeed bulletproof. We shoot this at 32,000 PSI in a little town in western Montana. If you blink, you've missed it, you're out the other side. But you want to know what? We shoot so many of these things that 6 people have a second shift now at the shop. Don't think that doesn't mean a lot. In a crap old little town where I live, it means a heck of a lot. The screws that we use come from Dearborn, Michigan. They're the same screw manufacturer that makes screws for Ford Motor Company, and we all drive American cars. The wire harness, the whip we call it, could have saved a lot of money, bought that rascal in China. That comes from S&K Technologies about 6 miles, maybe 10 miles north. So we buy parts from quality American manufacturers that are close because we're passionate about it. We thought, man, if somebody's going to do it, who's going to do it? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be you? Not that many people are in the business of building electronics that we're in. And for whatever it's worth, I'm about to get to smart meters. It was important to us. So as business owners and the board and the people that vote in our business that matter, we just collectively decided that we would build the very best product that we can, and that we'd build it in America, and that we wouldn't just source American parts, that where we could, we'd sort local parts. And in our community, with our little mayor and our little school teachers and our university, we gained a lot of traction. The support, the love, the camaraderie that we get is beyond measure. So I won't get teary, but I could talk about that. So in building these rotten electronics that I'm so passionate about, the government decided to introduce something to us called the smart meter. Now, do you know why they call it the smart meter? To make you feel stupid. Because they know that we're sheeple, God love us. You know, and I'm an average person. When the government tells me something, do you want to know what I want to do? I want to believe. I want to mind. I want to toe the line. I like to do what I'm asked, right? Unfortunately, we can't anymore just blindly do what we're asked, because sometimes they're asking us to do bad stuff. Stuff that's bad for us. And isn't that a shame? Because wouldn't every single one of us, when asked, like to stand up and say, yes, I'll go? Well, yeah, of course, right? Anymore, you can't necessarily do that. And one of the things is, when they intimidate you by calling it a smart meter, or scaring you, because they want you to be in trouble if you're going to step out of line, and it gets scary, what does fear do? Fear paralyzes, right? Fear paralyzes it, and fear feels bad. Somebody told me one time that being brave isn't a lack of fear. Being brave is taking action in spite of fear. You don't think soldiers that are heroes in a foxhole are scared? Scared snotless. But they take action anyway for the betterment of their friends, right? I've got a story that's important to me. It's a hero's tale. There was a woman in western Montana, just outside of Missoula where I live, and she had her 2 children on horseback. It was the mom, her 12-year-old daughter, and an 8-year-old boy, and they were just on horseback. Well, a mountain lion came down, an older, sick female came down and took the little boy off the back of the horse. And it's unusual for a cat to take somebody off the mount. So this cat comes up and takes this little boy off the mount and is going to eat him. The mom stops her horse, she jumps off, she gets a stick. She fights back this mountain lion. In Montana where we live, mountain lions get big, good, right? Fights it back, gets the little boy back on mount, slaps that thing in the tail, and off it goes. She fought that lion to her death. She passed away. But she saved both of her little kids. That's a hero's tale. It's a terrible way to go, but to give your life for people that you love. Right? To give your life for people that you love. So when something's scary, when something's wrong, you can't be frozen. Because that's what they're counting on. Right? They're counting that it'll be so darn scary that we won't take action. And what you have to do, you have to be brave. You have to be. Because where will it stop? If you give up, if you give in, they'll take and they'll take and they'll take. And they won't stop. Because they don't play fair, right? They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. So at some point, you got to draw a line in the sand. So I'm going to tell you some stuff about smart meters that's going to make you so mad. And it's scary and it's wretched. And unfortunately, it's true. Fortunately, it's true. I'm an electrical engineer. I'm a small-town white boy, and it's true. And you won't like it. So we're gonna watch some videos from the internet, from some experts, and I want you to see if they're telling the truth, or I want you to see if your baloney meter goes off. And if your baloney meter goes off and you don't have to buy it, that's okay. But when some of these people talk, I have a real feeling that you're going to believe that it's true, and you're going to be unhappy with what's happening to us. There are 5 or 6 main points I think we need to touch on to make us all experts in the smart meter. The number one point that I wanted to touch on, so here's the baloney story before I start on why they said we need the smart meter. Okay, first of all, they call it the smart meter because they want you to feel dumb, and then if it's the smart meter, then you're going to think this bunch of super geniuses got in a room and created it, and you should trust in it because you're a dummy, right? Here's what they told us in the engineering field. We are electrical engineers, we're in the engineering field, we make electronics, it's what we do. Here's what they said. Right now, we got to put a guy in a truck. We have to lease the truck or buy it. It's got auto insurance, it has gasoline, right? Those things are probably true. And we have to send this individual out to read your meter. Well, we're going to save a ton of money. Man, this thing can talk to the mothership, so now we don't have to have these guys in trucks. Now we can just talk to it and say how much you owe. All right, that sounds okay, right? Not if you're the guy that just lost his meter reading job. But that makes sense to me. So one of the things they say about that is, number one, that it only talks to the mothership once or twice a day. That's the first thing. Okay, it only talks to the mothership once or twice a day. And number two, the signal that it sends is totally harmless. Hey, it's harmless. It's like a cell phone, right? So on the internet, there are literally hundreds of professionals, NASA guys, super geniuses that say baloney. Now, the first clip that I want to show you regarding how often do they ding the meter, and is it harmful or not, isn't a super genius. You know what he is? He's a dad. How do dads feel about their little kids? They love them, right? So let's go ahead and watch this first clip, Jared, if you would. If you guys would dim the lights for us for a minute. Go ahead and turn up the sound. Bottom right, Jared. There you go.
The smart meter that SDG&E put on our home after Here we are in my daughter's room, just one floor above the smart meter that SDG&E put on our home after, well, convincing me that there's no problem, that the meter only sends off the signal a couple times a day, and that the signals aren't harmful. They're only like a cell phone call a couple times a day, no big deal. So this is on my daughter's pillow. This is a normal level of radiation. That's, well, there we go. The 0.3, 0.4 in that range, that's the normal level of radiation that is present on the Earth's surface that mankind's been exposed to for tens of thousands of years. And recently we've been getting a whole heck of a lot more. And many scientists and physicians, healthcare practitioners around the world, in the United States, Canada, Europe, are sounding the alarm that this stuff isn't as safe as the people who are making money off of it are claiming it is. So here we are, within just a couple of minutes, we've had 2 signals sent off by the smart meter already, up through the wall of my child's bedroom and through her pillow and headboard, and unbeknownst to me, for 9 months into her head and body, until I moved her out of this room and moved my family to the other side of the house until we can get this issue taken care of, until I can once again be an American.
Perfect. Go ahead and turn the lights back up. Go ahead and turn the lights back up for us, you guys. Sorry, we're going to do that a couple more times. Thank you. So, do you think that man is full of baloney? I don't either. I think that's a regular American dad. That's what I think. Who's got a little girl. So when I was a little boy, I'm 43 years old, when I was a little boy, autism was like 1 in 3,000. Right? Do you know what the autism numbers are?
1 in 150.
She says 1 in 150. What do you say? 1 in 80. The number I heard this morning, 1 in 68. 68. Well, we have double that people here. If you've got children that are going to be giving you grandkids, it's impossible that some of you, over the next generation or two, don't end up with some children, some grandchildren or great-grandchildren that have autism. I'm that age. Do you know that scares the dickens out of me? So they told us 2 things, guys. Number 1, they only ping it twice a day. I don't know about you, but that dad was only on TV for 2 minutes and 38 seconds. That's how long that clip was. And in 2 minutes and 38 seconds, we saw it ping twice. Wow. Well, next they tell you, it's not bad for you. It's not bad for you. It's just like a cell call, sir. It's not bad for you. Go ahead and kill my phone, would you? Go ahead and turn it off. Would you go ahead and go to the next clip for us? And this is someone who's dedicated his life to this. His name is Brian Thiessen. And if you can read this, I know it's pretty light. It says, "The truth about smart meters." Let's go ahead and kill the lights one more time, and let's watch some of the studies that the government has secretly circulated inside the Obama administration that not told you about. Go ahead and name it for us, please, Jerry.
What else do we have? Changes in physiological function, altered menstrual activity, altered fetal development. Hopefully, I'm able to try and substantiate, according to the military documents that I was talking about earlier, and all the stuff, when you microwave radiate a fetus before it is even born, Yale, all these guys are finding the exact same things every single time. Decreased lactation in nursing mothers. changing the frequencies and the operation of the body. This is what happened. Here we have more studies from the Army. This is the Department of the Army. I'm sure they have a lot of reputable scientists who want to know the exact facts and do the work to find them. Radio frequency radio waves. 100% of the population would be susceptible. Why would 100% of the population be susceptible? Because everybody is electrical. Everybody has frequencies. You start changing those frequencies, you have a susceptibility to disease and problems. All these other things, muscle spasms, all the way up to loss of consciousness. Every time we find the same results. Here's the Environmental Protection Agency. 574 pages with 3,627 studies. Already we're over 5,000 studies and documents. What does this do? 0 to 100 gigahertz, everything along the lines of any type of microwave you can have. Page after page after page after page of studies just like this. This is just one page out of the studies of effect on the central nervous system. This is what the EPA wanted to present in 1992 in order for people to know, hey, this should be a class 2A carcinogen. This gives people cancer. And they said, no, we don't want to, the government started saying, no, we don't want to enter that stuff in. And they started fast-tracking laws for the FCC to be able to install these towers because they knew this was the effect. And now they tried to eliminate the right of choice of all the people, the right of choice to their health. Here's Korean War veterans. More and more documents, more and more studies showing the exact same things. We have the higher rates of exposure, more rates of death. Why? The more microwaves, the more death. This is the stuff that happens. We've shown this over time. They've known about this since the 1930s when they first started using the microwaves to make tables and all different kinds of stuff for heat. And what started happening, part of the determination of the 1,000 microwatts per square centimeter came from when they switched from propeller to jet engine, they needed more powerful radars. And they had our guys sitting by the radars watching this stuff. But these guys were starting to get sick and dying, as we can clearly see here. So what did they say? Well, we need to absolve ourselves from liability because we need to have these guys for these radars. So they just upped the levels of exposure that they thought were safe. And they left it there. That's where this all happened. Here we have permanent genetic mutation and DNA damage. Time after time, the exact same thing being shown from lower levels of microwave. Not at levels that heat you up 1 degree per kilogram after 6 minutes, at the lower levels. Levels of cell phones. 24 hours of mobile phone exposure. That's genetic damage, that's DNA damage. Study after study is showing this. So how'd you like to give you some nonsense about these meters going off 3 or 4 times a day?
There's a background.
Poisonous.
So I think we got a good point with that. Okay. I will explain that. I want to show you some more videos.
That's good. That's okay. Let's go ahead and stop there. Lights again, if you would. Whoever's doing that, I love you. That's awesome. All right. I wish I was saying I'd do that with my mind. Okay, so one of the things that we talked about there was the idea that it's not bad for your health. There's no more arguing this, family. There's no more arguing about this. There are too many studies dating back too many years proving that it's bad for you. What he was trying to say in that is they want to expose us to it. So what they do is they just keep raising the level that they say is good for you. It's not good for you. It's poisonous. It's deadly. Some of the stuff that we've been reading too is once they get this thing on the side of your house, they can hit you with as much frequency as they want. They can hit you with as many waves as they want. There was one study that NASA released that said there's one frequency that makes you docile, and there's a frequency that makes you irritable. So do they want you to behave, or do they want you to riot? The idea that they can dial that in at your house, I don't like it, right? And so the truth is that we could go on, I only got like an hour. I mean, we could go on literally for days showing you fact after fact after fact that these things put off so much frequency. Could we all handle a tiny bit of frequency for a second a couple times a day? Yeah, we probably could. You still don't want it, right? But could you handle it? The truth is, the frequency level is off the chart for harmful, and it's going off every few minutes in all the studies we've done. So, I hate to be that guy. I didn't set out to change the world, folks. It hit me square between the eyes. Did we have one clip for that one? Okay. Next. They won't burn your house down. No, forget about it. That was an isolated case. Oh yeah, let's watch Dr. Klinghardt. Okay, so we're only going to watch Dr. Klinghardt for the beginning. So there's a very, very famous German doctor, Dr. Klinghardt. So in the beginning, I want him to just say who he is and give you guys his background, his education, etc. It's a very prestigious German doctor background. And then take us right to like 20 or wherever it is, so that he can scare the snot out of us. All right? Go ahead, lights. Health crisis of our time.
I'm Dietrich Klinghardt. I'm a medical doctor. I received my training in West Germany, and as a young doctor already moved to the US because I loved the United States. I passed my test here, and I've been licensed here since 1983. And I've been practicing here really since then, but I go regularly back to Europe to both teach there and to learn what's new over there. And so I'm being like a dual agent, bringing things that I learned here back to Europe and things that I learned in Europe back to here. And I have a practice in Seattle that specializes in the treatment of chronic illness. And we sort of slowly moved up our ranks, me and the doctors that work with me. The average patient that we have has seen 23 other physicians before they've seen us. So we're sort of like, if you want, like a late stage of the journey that patients are on after they've maybe failed or have given up on other treatment modalities. And so in that position, we sort of were also forced to look deeply into the causes of illness. And the main thing that we discovered is that illness is not a static thing, that the foundational causes of illness are now quite different from what they were 30 years ago, or 35 years ago, or 40 years ago. I graduated in 1975 from medical school, and none of the things I've learned in medical school have prepared me for what we see now in the medical practice. I teach a lot of medical students that come through my practice, both from naturopathic schools and from traditional medical schools and osteopathic medical schools, and I'm aware that the teaching in medical schools to a large degree is lagging behind the evolution of illness. Like when I graduated from medical school, we didn't have a single lecture in those 5.5 years on chronic fatigue or on chronic pain. All the lectures were on acute pneumonia, on rare fatty acid disorders, which we never will see in our whole life as a physician. But the things that we encounter now every day, we didn't have a single lecture on. And unfortunately, that hasn't changed very much since then. So I want to just, from the beginning, kind of say from a medical perspective, there's kind of two kinds of illnesses. There's the illnesses that have a name, the traditional illnesses like diabetes or hypertension. There's fractures, and there's appendicitis. And then there is much larger amount of illnesses that really go without a name, where the people feel they've lost their zest, they lost their enthusiasm, they lost their sex drive, they lost their joy, they don't dance anymore, they don't sing anymore. They're still living, but they're living sort of like a half-life. And our experience, of course, with the patients that we see is that every patient that we see is in that category. The main symptom, if I would put it in 2 words, is loss of zest. So it's not that people are suicidal, they just have lost the vibrancy of life, the color, the smells, the excitement, the sensuality of it. And we see that everywhere where we look, we see the same picture. I visit a lot of other colleagues in other practices, both here in the US, Canada, and in Europe, and see the same picture there. And so we, over the years, tried to distill down what is it really that has changed in illness and what is causing this strange state that we're in, that we're observing worldwide. And we really were able to distill it down to just a few factors. The main one being people have increasing numbers of chronic infections. We don't see the acute pneumonia very often or the acute staph infection. Yeah, those exist. They usually end up in the hospital, and the hospitals are doing a good job with the acute stuff. But chronic infections are even denied by the medical community that they exist. Chronic Lyme disease, chronic mycoplasma infections, chronic Epstein-Barr infections. They're given sort of like the side, they're sort of like a sideline in the teaching in the medical community, and are not giving their true place because they seem to be active in almost everybody that we see. Chronic mold infection, chronic parasite infestation. Those things have been extremely rare when I graduated from medical school, and now it's our everyday discovery that our patients are chronically ill, that they have these things. And so when we look deeper, what is it that has changed in the last 15, 20 years that these chronic infections have become so prevalent? And what we discovered is very simple. It's the exposure to electromagnetic fields. The only thing that parallels the exponential increase in chronic neurological illness, with the low-grade depression, the insomnia, the muscle aches and pains, and the fatigue, and the strange neurological symptoms with tingling, numbness, vibration in the body. That increases exponentially. The number of children to be diagnosed autistic doubles every 5 years now. There's no more an issue, well, are we overdiagnosing it? No, it doubles every 5 years. The only thing that parallels that increase is the increased exposure to man-made electromagnetic fields, largely in the high-frequency range. There's some exceptions that have also increased, but largely it's the high-frequency range from cell phone radiation, from the Tetra network.
Pause it there, and then you go look to 20. Did you see how that graph mirrored it almost perfectly? Did you see how us being sick was almost like you could put one over the other and trace it because of the high frequency of electromagnetic fields we're being exposed to? That's not chance, you guys. And these are numbers that this one doctor came up with. This is the numbers from the AMA. These are the numbers that are readily available from the World Health Organization. Sometime, if you want to scare the snot out of yourself, just because you're bored and you have too much time in your life, Google or search on the internet the dangers of EMF, electromagnetic fields. The dangers from EMF are so well documented that when PG&E tells us that that meter on your house is safe, it's insulting to your intelligence. It's a lie. It is a blatant lie to your face. The proof that they are harmful, making us sick, is beyond contestation. Please play at 20, Jared. Perfect.
were on the same electric system that you could actually switch off with the fuses, and others you couldn't. That's at nighttime. You also need the protection from the incoming cell phone radiation. And for my patients, we do the earthing pad, where we carefully test out where we earthing it, where we grounding the wire that comes off that. So that's the most important part for the nighttime. Now then there is daytime technologies. Admittedly, at daytime, most people leave the electric system on. So the first thing that we do, we use the Stetzer filters, which have been shown to be effective biologically, that there is less biological stress in the people that are in a room that has the Stetzer filters in the outlets. Now, Stetzer filters reduce the dirty electricity. I know Graham Stetzer has gotten a lot of opposition on that, but Mark de Havers, professor in Canada, has shown very clearly that the Stetzer filter reduce the biological damage that the fields are doing to us. Now, during the daytime, it is not allowed to have cordless phones in the house. That frequency, just to kind of make that point maybe clearer, a German mathematician has calculated the energy delivery. When you have two rooms over, you have the little space station for the cordless phone with the little antenna, and you go in the bedroom 2 rooms away. The field strength that you're getting when you're sleeping there is equivalent as if you had a 737 Boeing jet engine running at full speed next to your pillow next to you. The sound and the energetics of it are the same as if you have a silent, quiet cordless phone in the kitchen. It's absolutely destructive to the human health, and probably amongst all the things that we're discussing, the smart meter is number 1 now in terms of devastation to our system. But the cordless phone is number 2. It's worse than the incoming cell phone.
So go ahead and hit the lights. Thank you very much. So do you hear that number 1 detriment to our health? Smart meter. Number 1. So cordless phones, cell phones, all this stuff. Yep, absolutely. But the smart meter has to transmit from your house to the mothership, and it does so constantly. And some of the information that you're going to see, so it's not bad enough that they're radiating you. We're going to add insult to injury. They're radiating you to send to the mothership your private information. And when we show you in a couple of minutes the information that the smart meter gathers from your house, we're not going to riot, all right? Because you'll want it. You'll feel motivated to. So number 4 on our list, I believe it's number 4, let me double check my notes. Number 3, I don't mean to run on, is that they don't cause fires. Go ahead and hit the next one. Now this is a gentleman, go ahead and kill the lights you guys, thank you. This is a gentleman that works for PG&E. Works there, just listen to what he says. Former meter reader, California Public Utilities Commission.
Meter reader for 9.5 years with PG&E, and we were in the office before I was illegally fired because I was not intimidated into being quiet. The problems I saw firsthand regarding smart meters. PG&E knows that they do catch on fire when they are remotely turned back on when a customer who is delinquent in their bill finally pays their bill. These meters catch fire. They know it, and they are covering it up. When I started working at PG&E, the annual budget in meter reading was $70 million for roughly 1,000 meter readers. My supervisor, who was my best friend at the time, told me this. The Public Utility Commission and PG&E continually lie to the customers, saying it's a $2.2 billion system, when the Public Utility Commission and PG&E, when questioned by a law firm suing over smart meters, and it's a $10 billion system. PG&E tells their own employees it is a $10 billion system. That makes this illegal because it is a crime of fraud against the consumers of California. When you divide the annual cost of meter reading into the $10 billion this system ever comes close to breaking even. You cannot I also like to point out the fact that no one else in PG&E does surveys of the gas department but the meter readers. Thank you.
Okay, so he said a few very important things there. Number one, if a little family is unable to pay their bill and they get their power turned off, when they turn it back on, they're catching on fire. They are burning hundreds of homes down. Google it. They burn homes down. If for some reason they've got to send the signal back to your house, there is a huge chance it could burn your home down. They know this, but they won't fix it. They won't address it. They lie about it. Another thing, do you remember in the beginning when I said the reason they told us they were going to start the meter was because once they had it on your house, they didn't have to send a meter reader out, right? They could just send it to the mothership. Well, he worked at PG&E for 9 years until they canned him. At PG&E, they said they were going to save $70 million by not sending out these meter readers, but that the system cost $10 billion to implement it. $10 billion? Spend $10 billion to save $70 million? That's like flying to Hong Kong to buy a bag of peanuts. No, maybe. It doesn't make any sense. So what he's saying is it doesn't pencil. If the meter readers cost $70 million, but it's $10 billion to get this new smart meter and put it on every house in America, it doesn't pencil out. It doesn't make sense. So that can't be the reason. And if that is the reason, they need to learn better math. That's fine. Right? So two things. Yeah, go ahead, sir. He's wondering about the mothership. Okay. Oh, and the last point on that. Thank you, I'll get to it. They still have to send the meter reader to read your gas.
That's right. Yeah.
He still has to go to your house anyway. If I was going to say a naughty word, I'd say it right now. That is baloney. That is grade A malarkey, right? Because he still has to be in your house. What is the mothership? Where do they send all this data? We've only got a couple of clips left. I'm going to wrap it up. The very next clips we're going to watch are about spying. Do you remember when I started and I said if you're a baloney meter, you know, sometimes you hear something and it sounds nice. It sounds nice on the ears. But something in the back of your mind says, no, that is baloney. That is grade A malarkey. Nobody minds if it sends back to PG&E headquarters how much electricity you've used. I have no problem with that. I think that by contract to buy electricity, and there's a fair way to meter it, I have no problem that information being communicated. That's what my meter reader has done the whole history of my life. He's measured how much I've bought, and you know what I do? We write a check. We all do. So, in my humble opinion, the only thing that they should know about my house is how much electricity I've used. I don't know about you, but what I'm watching on the television shouldn't be any of their business. And I don't just say that because I'm some kind of a terrorist with something to hide, because I am not. I'm a regular average Joe. I'm an American. I'm a manufacturer. I'm a dad. I'm a son. I'm a brother. I'm an average guy. And there's no reason why you need to record and report in where I'm going on the internet. Did you know that one of the main reasons Snowden is in trouble is because it's the smart meter? It's one of it is the smart meter. So here's what they say. So we're going to imagine, just for a minute, that it's you, ma'am. So your grandchild hears about a new form of terrorism at school that you're not familiar with. So, being a concerned citizen, you Google it. You go online, you look up this new form of terrorism, you look at where it is, what's happening, and where it starts. Now, later on that night, you're watching your TV's on HBO, and you fall asleep in your chair. Well, what comes on? Benghazi, right? An HBO special on Benghazi, right? Now, a year later, we say, ma'am, you're a dissident. We're going to throw you in Guantanamo Bay. And you say, I'm not a dissident. I'm a grandma. And you say, well, look what you're looking at on the internet. You're Googling stuff on terrorism. Where is it? Who's doing it? Who's causing it? In fact, look what you're watching on TV, ma'am. You're watching stuff on Benghazi. If we take every conversation that you've ever heard in private, can we not paint anybody out to be a dissident? Can we not make it look like anybody is a bad person? Hey, they don't add the fact that the reason you went there is because you're trying to stop it. They forgot to put that part in. That's what Snowden says. Do you know the NSA's main modus operandi? It's like 4 words. Collect it all. 3. Collect it all. From the super genius lecture, I've done more math homework in college too than anybody that you know, by the way. Collect it all. Well, one of the reasons they said they didn't catch the guys at 9/11, and don't get me started on that fiasco, was because there's just so much data. There are so many emails, there's so many phone calls, there's so many transactions. How do you narrow it down to 5 nut jobs? Well, if the modus operandi is collect it all, and the problem is you had too much crap to sift through, which way is it? That sends my baloney meter right through the roof, right? Once they're reading all of our emails and all of our TV shows and all of our stuff, they won't be able to get anybody doing anything. It'll just be too much fuzz, too much crap. And are most people terrorists? No. No. Are most people thieves? No. Most of us are generous, right? Most of us are patriots. That's the truth. Most of us are. But they propose that they're going to take away your rights, and your rights, and your rights, and what really insults me, they're going to call it a smart meter, and they're going to expect us to hand them over. And if you don't just hand them over, they're going to treat you like you're stupid, or they're going to scare you. Well, we're not stupid. We're smart, right? And we can't be afraid, because when you be afraid, it paralyzes, right? And being brave is taking action even though you're scared for the betterment of everybody else, for the betterment of your friends, for the betterment of your family. We have to be brave, you guys, because what I'm telling you here, we didn't make this stuff up. Unfortunately, this is real. So the last one that I'm going to talk about is, are they spying on you? So this one says, smart meters, building the global surveillance grid. I love this. It says, you're not going to like this. Go ahead and hit the lights. Thank you.
Oh, to those appliances that have RFID chips, encourage you to go to our website where we have articles and we have videos up there about what these RFID chips look like. The amount of data that's going to be collected on each and every one of us is going to be ultimately gathered in this new facility in Utah that is being built right now. It's over 1 million square feet, and it is being built to collect global data on every single person. The ultimate goal of this data collection and data harvesting and mining of our personal information is to ration, turn off your appliances whenever they decide that you have used your allotted amount of energy. Resources of all sorts, not just electricity, but we're talking about your gas, we're talking about your water, and we're also talking about waste. This is all planned to be part of a global seizing of information and absolute control of everything you do in your home. You will never, ever live in your homes the way you have lived before the smart meter was attached. Not only will it collect the data that breaches all wiretapping laws across the United States, but the radiation and the extended amount of radiation, once all of the appliances have those RFID chips, will make you sick. And I refer you to that military document. You can read it. It's 20-something pages long, and some of the things that it says that it does, it says that they know that it will cause adverse effects in humans. It will cause cancer and reproduction dysfunctioning. They know that the radiation has similar effects as to drugs on our biological systems. It will affect our brain tissue. The microwave heating will mimic a fever, and the RF will incapacitate us, and under fever conditions, the target becomes less aggressive. But some people, of course, they say will become irritable. They know this. They're doing this. People are becoming sick. We have thousands of people that are the canaries in the coal mines right now, worldwide, that have become.
She called us canaries in the coal mines. Go ahead and show the last one. This is the last clip we're going to show. And I'll get out of your guys' hair. This is just another brilliant reporter.
In 2013 on a Wednesday, 6:18 p.m. Pacific time. Question is your smart meter spying on you? This was posted by the Washington's blog. It's dated June 26, 2013. The original intent of smart meters may be good. Conserve energy by setting up a smart grid to maximize the efficiency of energy distribution, but there are questions about potential health effects from smart meters. And in this era of pervasive spying, it's important to know where the threats to our privacy are coming from. Burglars, hackers, and the government all want to see your smart meter data. NBC News reports, researchers examining the privacy implications of smart meter technology found that one German provider's devices contain vulnerabilities that allowed them to snoop on unencrypted data to determine whether or not the homeowners were home. After signing up with the German smart meter firm Discovergy, the researchers detected that the company's devices transmitted unencrypted data from the home devices back to the company's servers over an insecure link. The researchers Dario Carluccio and Stefan Brinkhaus intercepted the supposedly confidential and sensitive information, and based on the fingerprint of power usage, were able to tell not only whether or not the homeowners were home, away, or even sleeping, but also what movies they were watching on TV. Network World points out, at the last Chaos Communication Congress in Germany, researchers presented smart hacking for privacy and demonstrated that detailed smart meter data can show what TV shows you watch, scan for copyright protected DVDs, movies that you watch, and other privacy intrusive details. Network World also notes the following. Smart meters provide highly detailed energy use data. The info can be used by police to find and/or bust indoor pot farms, by insurance companies to determine healthcare premiums, and by criminals to determine if you own high-dollar appliances and when is the best time to steal them. And that's only the tip of the potential privacy invasion iceberg.
And that's it. That's what we'll stop.
In Central Ohio, police filed.
Thank you very much. I wish from the depths of my soul that it wasn't true. It is. So the last point, I'm not going to refer to any videos, will your bill go up? Yeah, your bill has to go up. The old Edison meter that we grew up with could only read real power. It couldn't read the difference between real or apparent power. The volt amp versus the watt. The new meter can. What's happening is that the electricity that you buy is dirtier every year. And every year when they deliver you dirtier power, they ask you to pay more for it. The average price of inflation on electricity is 6% a year. When they deliver to you like 4% degraded quality of electricity. Every year you buy dirtier electricity and you pay more for it. And now they're putting on your electrical lines this massive amount of private information. Private information that the government could use against you, or as it said, a hacker could use to find out when you're out of town, what brand your stuff is, and when is the best time to steal it. So those are the 5 points that I wanted to cover. But one of the things I wanted to tell you too is over the last 7 years, we've designed a line of products that block it. We designed a line of products that scrub it. Do you know how much information they'll be able to gather from your electrical lines? Zip! Why? Because it's none of their business. If they like to know how much electricity I used over the last month, I'm okay with having them having that information. If they want to know if I've got relatives in town and what time we eat and do dishes, bananas on that, right? One of the things this gentleman talked about is it's not that hard to buy filters. Filters that can reduce electromagnetic fields, filters that can clean dirty electricity, filters that can remove data from lines. These products, my friends, and I will give you a picture in a minute because I'm proud of it, scrub 98% of the communication. That means that with only 2% of the communication, really nothing can be conveyed. Nothing. Healthier in your room, healthier when you sleep, easier on your power bill. We've got the 6 meters here that they talked about in the video, and we're going to prove it. And I want you guys to know, when we started talking about smart meters to the Tea Party, they didn't just hand me a microphone and put me on stage. They wanted to know who I was. They wanted to know where I was from. They wanted to know my background. The big Tea Party headquarters in Illinois, I don't remember, Michael somebody, did more background checking on me than I've had in a long time. They also said, this is actually something that's very important to us. He says, as Tea Party members, this is something that we're very passionate about. Would you mind if we tested your products? We said, no, we would love it if you tested our products. We would love for you to see what we were saying. So we shipped about $2,000 worth of our products to Texas, where some engineers for the Tea Party in Texas tested our products. For Texas, these products are the products of the Tea Party. They have been tested at great length, and they do perform as we say. So some of the things that I want to talk to you about really quick. This meter is called the Greenway, and you can buy these for about $100. And this will show the dirty electricity that you have in your lines. Your reading should be ideally under 100. We're going to plug it in here so that you can see. The next meter, he talked about it, Dr. Graham Stetzer. When the German doctor was talking about it, he talked about Graham Stetzer. This meter, according to it, should be under 25, okay? And then we've got some meters here that actually show electrical usage and how the new smart meter is billing you. Isn't that wonderful? So what we like is, I would like somebody with good eyes who's unusually honest to come and be our meter reader. Who would come up and play along? All right, I see an arm back there. You're first. Come on back. There's our meter reader. Meter reader. Now this is not going to shock you super hard. Just teasing. Just teasing. All right. So now, would you read what that line says across for us?
Okay, your reading says less than 25. Condition means good. Recommendation, monitor weekly. Reading 25 to 50, the condition is average. The recommendation is to monitor weekly. If the reading is more than 50, the condition is undesirable. And recommendation, add filters.
Okay, so under 25 is good. Anything over 50, bad, right? Let's go ahead and turn them on. Anything over 25 is bad.
18, 17, 1790, 1812, 1840.
1,807.
Yikes. Wow, that's more than 50.
Is she glowing yet?
Wow.
Now this one, please.
Okay, what number am I reading here?
The top one.
Well, it says between 0 and 5% reduction, then 1,000, I'm guessing that's 1,000 again?
Yeah.
1,275, 1,051.
Yes. So again, these meters say they should be under 25, and if they're over 50, then that's bad, add filters. Folks, these meters say like 1,875. That's what we were talking about, right? But unless you have the meter, how would you know? So now we're going to add a filter. So you keep an eye on both of these meters, okay? And I'm going to give you the mic and you're going to read them. And I want you to read the numbers before and after with the reduction, okay?
So right now we're at 99% reduction, 1,275, and then 81 to 83, and the other one says 78.
So there was a 99% reduction. They literally went from like 1,800 to
1275 and 78.
78. So, thank you very much, Bess. You're not done, but great job. So how easy was that? How easy was it to plug in an American-made product that costs about $100? Take back your health and your privacy, right? By the way, our main products sell for well over $1,000, not to you guys, not to the Tea Party. You guys buy all of our stuff at just over cost, and a measure of the money that goes for just over cost, we're actually going to write Larry a check so that you guys can keep having these meetings, because we know you're all volunteers. Okay, so the old meter that we grew up with could not read the difference between real and apparent power. It only read the watt. This is why our flipping bills went up. Say that again.
$3,003.
Whoa.
That's a 2-month bill, $3,000.
You know, things weren't tough enough. You know, hey, PG&E, pile on. Okay, so right here we have a 5-amp motor. I don't know about you guys, but it should probably run at 5 amps, right? So we're going to turn this motor on at 5 amps, and I know that you probably can't see, but she's going to read for us. What's this say on amps right now?
5.08.
5.08. How many watts, the top line?
559.
And that is how much money per month, the line below?
$40.
Okay, so volts times amps is watts. So you have 5 amps, 120 volts, it's about 600 watts. So that motor running like that will cost about $40 a month at 10 cents a kilowatt. I think you'll pay a little bit more than 10 cents, don't you hear? Okay, so at 10 cents a kilowatt, this motor is going to be $40 a month, or $1.33 a day, and 5 amps. The reason it's at 5 amps is because the efficiency rating is
0.30.
0.30. Now there's something magical right there. Only 30% of the electricity that we're buying right now is running the motor. Where's the extra 70%? 70% of the electricity can't be used, so it's converted into heat. So 70% of the money right now that PG&E is billing us is making my motor hot. Is my motor being hot good for my motor? No, I'm paying more money to burn off my motor than I'm burning to spin it. So, we've got an efficiency of 30, we have 5 amps, we have 556 watts, which is $1.33 a month, or $1.33 a day, or $40 per month, $39.
39 to $40 a month.
Okay, the minute we add our filter to the system, did you hear that? We went from 5 amps to,
1.65.
we went from 30% efficiency to
0.92.
92%. We went from 560 watts to
179.
$40 a month to,
$12.
how about that? Thank you very much, whoever clapped. Thank you very much, Miss. Brilliant job. So by cleaning the electricity, almost there, almost Q&A here, by cleaning the electricity, we were able to boost the power quality from 30% to like 92%. So then 92% of the electricity we were buying was spinning the motor. At that point, we went from 560 watts to like 170. We went from $40 a month to spin your air conditioner motor to 12. How about that? Why don't they tell you that? Why did they just let the bill go up? Why did they just let the bill go up? What? Greed! Greed! They're going to allow you to spend more money burning out your air conditioner than running it? Because they don't care. Because the truth is that the dumb thing is radiating your house. The truth is the dumb thing is making you sick. The truth is the dumb thing is spying on you. And the truth is the dumb thing is costing you more to run your stuff than it should. That's my presentation. We love you guys. We're passionate about what we do. We do sell the products at literally less. They're coming to get me, it's right. So we make filters that work two ways. For $299, you get a set of two that will plug in, one on an A phase and one on a B, and they will clean and protect your home. Now I'm going to tell you the truth, and I'm going to come clean here. Really, the only solution that makes any sense at all is no more smart meters. I'm a big enough boy to say it. The only thing that makes any sense at all is no more smart meters. But if you have one now and you don't like it, here's something that you can immediately do for a reasonable amount of money that will do several things. Number one, it will reduce your power bill immediately, and you'll see it on your next bill. It will make your home a healthier, happier place to live, and it will reduce communications sent over your electrical lines by a government, hacker, thief, or anybody. It does not make you a dissident to not be frozen by fear and to take your power back. These units are called Power Perfect boxes. They wire in at your utility panel. We sell thousands of these in the South to air conditioner users every year for $1,299. For the Tea Party, they're $599. They honestly cost us about $368 to make, and we're going to give Larry and you all a check back for $50 for anybody that wants to buy one. This is a filter mount. So this does several things. Number one, this is a surge protector rated for lightning on your whole house. It comes with $25,000 of insurance. Should you have a major surge and this not handle it, we buy you all new stuff. The reason we can do that, insurance companies, do they like to pay? No. We can do that because we know that this is full of quality American parts, 300-volt American shot circuit boards, and this will stop surges. This will absolutely reduce your electrical bill, just like the demonstration that you just saw. The demonstration that you just saw was simply one of these on a 5-amp motor. It will reduce harmonics, it will reduce electromagnetic fields, and communications. And it's made in America, and it has a 10-year warranty. And when you call, we speak English, and we send you a new unit. Thank you. Now I would love to take questions. You're the boss, Larry. Go ahead. What do you want?
What's the impact of those filters and the stuff that you're demonstrating there if you're about 90% solar?
I love it.
But you still have a smart net meter.
Okay, so he asked a great question. What if you're only solar? It is custom made for solar because solar makes DC. Solar DC then goes to your inverter, which converts it into AC, and so not only does your smart meter kick out big electromagnetic fields, unfortunately, so does your inverter. It also regulates voltage, and it handles inrush. What's inrush? When your air conditioner wants 5 amps, it's on a 50 amp breaker. When it sucks, it pulls 50 amps. That's very hard on your inverter, and you end up buying some electricity from the utility that once it ignites, it goes right back on the cooler. You're an electrician? No. You're nodding, aren't you? You know what I'm talking about.
I have solar systems.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. So when the air conditioner goes to suck, it's called inductance, rather than having it pull 50 amps from the from the utility, go to the air conditioner and give it back, our box stores it. Our box is actually going to clean your electricity all day, all night. It never shuts off. As it cleans the electricity, it'll store added electricity, and when things begin to inrush, rather than pulling from the utility, you're going to pull from your box. It's excellent with solar. Muy bien.
Even if you had the net meter removed, the smart net meter,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
went back to analog.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So here's something else. We're also solar guys. Going solar does change out your meter. See, the smart meter reads one way, right? To you. When you go solar, PG&E has to come and do a net meter. So it can read both ways. If you go solar, get the net meter and our box, you will effectively undo all that terrible stuff we just saw. And the solar deal that we do right now, and I didn't mean to pitch on, I'm just going to tell you about it if you don't know about solar. Right now, solar is free to you. When we put solar on your house, it costs you absolutely nothing. Zip, not $1 now, not $1 later. We pay your utility bill for the whole next year. You will have no power bill for 12 months. After the end of the 12 months, for the next 19 years, we do what's called a revenue share. Since we're buying the panels, not made in China, since we're buying the inverter, did my battery die? Since we're buying the inverter, then what happens is the panels go on your house, we install them, we insure them, we warranty them, we maintain them. 1 year of free power. After the end of 1 year of free power, it might be my battery, then we simply share the electricity that they make. Are the solar panels free? No, nothing's free, you silly bear. But you don't have to pay for it. What we do is we sell some of the electricity that they're going to make, and we share it. That's how we pay for the panels. So what happens immediately is your home is worth about $18,000 more money. All right. So what happens is your house is instantly worth about $20,000 more. That's yours to keep. For the next year, you have no power. For the next 19 years, you have a reduced power bill, but you might have some. At the end of the term, they're yours to keep, and that's it. So I didn't mean to get long-winded on that, but if you want to know about that, happy to help you. Go ahead.
What do you mean by dirty power? You never explained that.
All right, dirty power.
You got this presentation on the web?
Yes, the whole presentation is on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is our company name, SATIC, S-A-T-I-C, USA.com. Alternating current travels in a sinusoidal waveform. The volt and the amp have to be in phase. The farther the volt and the amp are out of phase, it's called the power factor. This distance is called the power factor. You want them in phase. Alternating current has 6 major attributes. It has the volt, which is the pressure. It has the amp, which is the current. It has the watt, which is the multiplier of those two. It has THD, which is total harmonic distortion, which should be less than 2%. It has electromagnetic fields, which should be under 2%. And it has resistance. Resistance is Ohm's law, that if I push electricity, it's I squared R. If I push electricity over a pathway, I lose a measure of my electricity over this distance to heat. So dirty electricity is when you have total harmonic distortion above an acceptable rate, when you have electromagnetic fields above a standard rate, and you're out of phase. You're welcome.
Another question.
Go ahead.
On the big gray box,
Yes.
how does that hook up to your system? At the meter?
Great question. It will go on its own new 2-pole 15 amp breaker at your main distribution center.
And That will cover your whole system.
That will cover your whole system. It has 3 electrical subsystems in it. It has a 120 volt, A to neutral subsystem.
Need a new marker.
Need a new marker? The box is what we call power perfect. It has a 120 volt subsystem, totally independent, touches nothing else. This subsystem manages half of the outlets in your home. You never have to buy another one of those little Chinese strips. You want to plug something in, you plug it in. Your whole house is now regulated with clean power. Your voltage is regulated. It has a second subsystem, which is B to neutral. It is a 120 volt subsystem. That's the other half of your outlets. So these 2 circuit boards specifically manage all of the outlets in your house. It then has a third subsystem. It is called A to B, or phase to phase. This is a 240 volt subsystem. This is your air conditioner, your dryer, your range. So the 120 volt stuff, it regulates at 120. The 240 volt, I'm having a hard time
Gotta speak straight in this.
the 240 volt system regulates everything at 240. So you remember a minute ago I said that alternating current has 6 major attributes? The Power Perfect box will regulate the voltage and reduce your amps. When it reduces amps, it'll reduce your watts and reduce your bill. It'll filter, that was the green filter, total harmonic distortion by 98, in this case 99%. You saw it work. It'll reduce electromagnetic fields by 90%, and it naturally reduces losses to Ohm's law because you're pushing less amps. Anytime you're pushing amps over a distance, you lose some of these amps to heat. It's Ohm's law. All right, thank you. Is that better? It comes and it goes, doesn't it, folks? So we call it the Power Perfect box because it does several things. Number one, it regulates every aspect of alternating current, and it does so on every pathway in your home. Because if you don't have total pathway protection, I'm over it. It's okay.
You make a microphone.
Because if you don't have total pathway protection, it wouldn't be good for you. What do you mean, sir?
What's the effect whenever the PG&E or the producer of the electricity buys these boxes hooked into their systems?
There's nothing they can do. There's nothing that they can do that prevents you from installing your own energy management equipment or surge protection. We secretly know it's a privacy box. To PG&E, it's a quality robust surge protection. Up their nose with rubber hose.
They can also burn your box up if they want to, can't they?
No, sir. Actually, that's a great question. Our box was tested by UL, CSA, FCC, and CE. UL had to hit our box with 4,000 amps to burn it down. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I feel like I'm a day late and a dollar
All right.
short. But I just put up a solar just this past week.
Cool.
But I've been an opt-out customer, so I don't have the smart meter.
All right.
So one of my points was with getting the solar, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't still having the smart meters not in there with this other little meter, that net meter.
Right.
So that net meter is okay. It's not going to collect my information.
She asked a great question. Once you go solar, are you okay? Thank you. Number 3. Was it number 4? The math guy. I did more terrible math in high school and college than anybody would believe. So she asked a good question. She says, okay, I've gone solar. I've got my net meter. It's not the original smart meter. Am I better off? I believe the answer is yes, but I'm not full of baloney. And I committed to you that I wouldn't be full of baloney. I have not run all of them through the gamut of tests.
Okay, so I'm just, so I mean, I do have the analog on there now, but supposedly we will change that analog meter on off-out meter to what they call a net.
The net meter.
Net meter.
Yes.
So what is that doing? So I mean, that was my whole whole basis of going ahead with my solar.
Yes.
Kind of tell me, well, you're still opt out, and I'm still being paid my $7 and so forth and so on. But am I really, truly, behind the scenes, really still opting out?
You know, I can't.
That would really be
And I can't honestly answer it for you. I want to say yeah, because the analog meter doesn't do all these nasty things, but we know that they add the net meter to it, and we haven't tested all the net meters yet.
so what will be.
We're working on it all the time. That was actually something that Hugh and I have been discussing as we've been putting on. We do a lot of solar in the area. We do tons of solar systems. The fact that there's what's called a power purchase agreement. Here's what a power purchase agreement is. A power purchase agreement is a contract between the solar panel owner and the utility to buy the electricity for a set number of years at a set price. So with that agreement, the PPA, power purchase agreement, you lock in several things. We know how much electricity your panels are going to make, and you lock in that price for 20 years. You also lock in what you buy it for. And that's a big deal, because right now, utility inflation is about 6% a year, and which way are utility prices going? I would love to lie to you, but I'm not going to waste your time. You'll see right through me. It's only going to go one way. So, yes, go ahead, sir.
What kind of cost savings does somebody
That's a great question. So he wants to know, what kind of cost savings could someone expect with a box like this? Where we live in western Montana, it's kind of hard to find somebody almost that doesn't have it. We don't have schools, we have entire school districts. We have city halls, we have Sinclairs, we have KFCs, you name it. And the truth is, the results are all over the board. If you're a person that uses a lot of air conditioning and has a hot tub or a swimming pool or things like that, you might save 35%. Because you're using a lot of inductive electricity, you're a high net user, etc. You might be a person that has a $200 electrical bill. You might only save 10%. I'm not going to lie to you. We would be very surprised if you are so unique that you are the worst customer we've ever had and you only save 10%, but there's a possibility. Most of Kentucky Fried Chickens, Sinclair's, Conocos, most of these type of places that really monitor their electrical use, who really keep a good eye on it, save about 16, 17%. That's a pretty consistent number from somebody that really keeps a great eye on it. Yes, we've had the customers that save more, but I just wouldn't bother saying that to you. It will just be what it'll be, but it'll be significant, and you'll see it on your first bill. Yes, ma'am. I love her. Can you come work for my company? Yeah. It is. She says, how do you put a price on your privacy? How do you put a price on your health? We, in the beginning, had to give some of our boxes away because people said, well, how much would it save on my bill? We said, we're not sure. They said, that answer doesn't work, you dummy. Well, we know that we're going to clean the electricity. You're going to create less heat. Your DVR is going to be cooler. Your phone is going to be cooler. Your laptop is going to be cooler. Those things should not get hot. Those things get dirty because they're hot, because they're converting dirty electricity into heat. So if your TV is cooler, and your laptop is cooler, and all these things are cooler, you're converting less of your watts into heat. If you convert less watts into heat, what has to happen to your bill? It has to go down. So we did a few places for free, they got a good result. But then they introduced the smart meter. So the truth is, we sell more boxes now for health and for privacy than we ever do for saving money. We sell the box to keep your privacy private and to keep your health where it needs to be. And if you happen to save a couple of bucks, God bless you. We're about done?
Yeah, Paul still has.
I got one more question.
Go ahead.
The the small filters,
Yes.
where do you use a small filter at?
As long as you get one end on an A and one end on a B, you're okay. Now, you might want to try and put them where there's a high use, kitchen, entertainment center, but the truth is, all electricity is going to come in on the A phase, return on the neutral path, so it really will work on everything on the phase. You can't help but put it somewhere where it's going to be a little more use. Buy a high-end refrigerator, buy a freezer, buy a hot tub. But the truth is, for the most part, it really doesn't matter. As long as you get two. Go ahead, Grandma.
Why can't you hire an electrician to take that thing off the wall?
So she asked the golden question right there. Why can't you just get that dumb thing gone? You can. PG&E should just come take it off. But it is like pulling teeth to get it off. They charge you $75 to pull it off, and then they charge you $10 a month we can't spy on you fee. That's probably part of that $10 a month fee. He heard it's more than that. The last that I heard, I love you, the last that I heard is it's a $10 a month fee. Go ahead, ma'am.
A friend of mine did the thing where she paid to have them take it off. She did that. They came back with a bribe. She didn't tell me how much. They bribed her to put it back on, and she said they made it worth my while.
How about that? So here's what she said, folks. She said that she had a friend that heard about this stuff, didn't want it, and asked them to come take it out. When they came out to take it out, they wouldn't do it. Instead, they offered her a bribe. She said that they made it worth her while, and she kept it. Why would they do that if it wasn't sinister? Why would they do that? They're writing people checks. Oh yeah, PG&E, they're in the neighborhood writing checks. Go ahead.
I just want to go back. We're talking about the light bulbs, the old brown light bulbs.
Yes.
I was in Lowe's with some bulbs, Philips, GE, and all the X amount of price. Bottom shelf, there was some bulbs down there I picked up. God, made in America. And they were cheaper. General Electric and Philips going on their name.
Okay, so the last thing, I'm gonna wrap it up, Blair. It's a lot of fun. I'm gonna wrap it up. This Chinese bulb says it's 13 cents or 13 watts on the bulb. Says it's 13 watts. We're gonna see on a meter, it takes a minute to read, 28. 30, 20, it says 13 on the packaging. It says 13 on the packaging. I don't know if you trust the packaging or these 2 meters, but they say 30. Over double. This guy, EcoSmart. Oh, it's EcoSmart. It's got to be good for you. Yeah, it's an EcoSmart. It's got to be healthy. It's good for the environment. Right? It says 13. Doesn't light all the way up. You can't see true color. You're never going to see true blue. It's light down there, but not on top. Guess what? 23. Well, not as bad, but it says 13. How can it say 13 when it's 23 and it's $1.65 a month? Would you like to see an American product? First of all, it totally comes on. It's absolutely cool the whole time. It's cool. I'm connecting. I'm completing the circuit. It's cool to the touch, it's beautiful on the eyes, and it says 13. Oh, novel. 15. Oh no, that's a 15-watt lamp, isn't it? Sorry, so a 15 says what? 15! Imagine that! Go figure, it's genius, isn't it? You get them from us, ma'am. God love you. We sell these lamps for about $8.50 a pop, not for y'all, they're $5. They're the same price as any other crap hole light bulb you would get. These will save you money on your power bill as well. As you can see, they save you 50, 60 cents per month, per lamp, and they don't get hot. They run nice and cool. They run nice and cool, your air conditioner doesn't run. They run nice and cool, they last for years. Go ahead, sir.
Last one. The thing is that they're only required to list what wattage is used to produce the lights, not the ballasts and the heat loss that it's going to produce to get there. They're only required that.
I've always loved you. He just answered it. So they're not required to list how much is going to turn into heat. They're only required to list how much is going to turn into light. So you're buying something that says 13, but you're paying for 28. Here's what I think is funny about this. They cram these down our throats because our bills were going to go down. Whose bill went down? Nobody's bill went down. Who is the person whose bill went? Nobody's bill went down. Why? Because they say 13 and they're running at 28. They get hotter than blue blazes, and then they burn out because they're made crapola in China. Because they build them to fail. I can lie to you. I'm not going to bother. Yes, ma'am. Do our bulbs have mercury in them? Yes, ma'am. 1/10 the mercury of a Chinese-made lamp.
How come nobody has said how we're supposed to dispose of these bulbs that have mercury?
How come nobody says that? Honestly, it seems to me that they don't care about our health. I could give you some brilliant answer. I don't have one. I believe that they genuinely don't care about our health. They don't care about us. We're no longer citizens. We've become chattel somehow, right? We've somehow become property along the way and somewhat subjugated, right? So I don't know the answer, man. We have a better product. Larry, baby, I'm done. Thank you, folks.
So if you're interested in VD's products, see him after the meeting. Right now, we have the world famous Paul Preston and some really interesting news about what's going on, and I think maybe in our own area. Okay.
Well, good evening. What a great presentation. Thank you very much. That was excellent. Absolutely excellent. And one of the persons that you referenced there was Deborah Tavares. Yeah, isn't she a great lady? Have you ever heard her on the radio? You can't shut her up. I'm serious. When I had her on the radio for 2 hours, I think I said 10 words. I'm serious. I was watching my radio clock, because you know that's what you do in the radio business, because you got commercials. So we started at the news, I introduced the show, I introduced her, and then we went to the next break, and I said, hold it, we have a break. Okay, here's Deborah Tavares. Next break. Hold it, we have a break. I did that for 2 hours, non-stop. She was amazing. Anyway, great information. Okay, anybody have any questions about what's really going on? Anybody want to ask a question first?
I have a question.
The man in the black shirt.
Who's responsible for this Malaysian airliner going down? Russia or Ukraine?
Both. Both. We broke the story 30 minutes after the plane went down on Agenda 21 radio. I got a call from a friend of mine who was a very good friend of the show, and his comment was that it was the Ukrainians that shot the plane out of the air. And I said, oh, that's not what everybody's telling me. That's not what every worldwide media outlet was telling me. Did you notice how quick they got out in front of the story? That's called a clue. So I broke the story and went with it and said that they did it based upon the information I had within about an hour. And that was just right after the show ended on the 17th. Then I got one of these 1 a.m. phone calls from another source. Now, 1 a.m. Saturday morning. And I gotta tell you something, I treasure my weekends. So the phone's ringing, and I'm saying, don't answer it, you need sleep. So I answer it. And I'm trying to make some light of a very big tragedy. But the guy told me you need to see what I just sent you on the email. And it was a catch screen. Are you familiar with a catch screen? You know what that is? You guys know what that is in the computer world? Where's my man? We screen capture something from the catch. And so he directed me to a website, and it was the same website by which they produced. You remember the video you heard about the guys talking about how elated they were about shooting the aircraft out of the sky? There's only one problem with the production of that. It was produced the day before. It was produced at 7:10 p.m. Ukrainian time. That's why they were so out in front within minutes of the plane going down with that content. I said, oh, I said, that's a very interesting time. So we looked into it even more so. And by the way, Dabu 7 came out with a video production that kind of verified everything I'm telling you right now. But at the same time, when they built that video, there's also, the world, it spins, and different time zones are happening, right? That was produced in the Ukraine, but something else was going on the East Coast in Washington, D.C., and that was the presidential daily briefing, in which Joe Biden and Barack Hussein Obama went into the presidential briefing, and 40 minutes later, at 11:10 a.m., they're producing that video. We call that a smoking gun, and there's more. We're going to have more to this. This is what the news is not telling you. It's all the Russians' fault. Now, if you know anything about Vladimir Putin, he's got the big boy pants on. He's a stone cold killer. He's a mass killer. For him to take on the responsibility of doing this is no big deal to him. So the next step is, who is this helping? Who is the shoot down helping? His friend, Barack Hussein Obama. We have to go back also to what happened in Syria. What did Putin do with Obama then? Remember, there were lines that were crossed. He helped his buddy out, Obama. So we've seen this scenario before, but they're just going to keep hammering away that it's Putin. This is the mainstream media doing this. They're colluding like crazy. The newsstream media, like myself, we're all over this. This is one of these big stories that's going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and alternative media sources are going to just blow it out of proportion. I mean, just tell it like it is. And this is all mounting up on the president, because you've had so many of these types of incidences before that, pretty soon the weight of honesty is just going to get to them. Question?
There seemed to be some kind of collusion to stop some other stories. What I mean is the ISIS that went into Syria and Iraq, tried to create their own caliphate there, was on the news very lightly. I mean, not on it all the time, just one word. That they're rounding up all of the Christians in that area, and they gave them till noon yesterday to either become Muslims, leave, or they execute them.
Right.
Now, I think that's a pretty good sized story. Even though you lost 300 in a plane, you could lose thousands there, and nobody's even concerned about it.
Well, let me, and that's a correct observation. We put up the story this morning about what we call the Christian genocide that's going on in Iraq right now. At one point, about 8 years ago, there were over 1 million Christians, and now there's less than 400,000. And they gave them that ultimatum.
You have another scenario going in France, where the Moroccan Arabs are up there.
It's France and London.
Chopping the Jews' churches and synagogues, and
Right.
they're raising Cain there.
So let's get to the bigger one, though. And you're exactly right on all these. You're spot on. ISIS and ISIL, and ISIS, by the way, is Al-Qaeda. So is ISIL. And they got their funding for their existence from Barack Hussein Obama.
Correct.
Okay? Let's be very clear about this. What you're hearing in the mainstream media, they're not telling you the truth. The Citizens Commission on Benghazi, Claire Lopez, who's a guest on my show all the time, Paul Vallely sits on this commission. They concluded that it was Barack Obama who who was smuggling weapons prior to Gaddafi's downfall into Libya, over 800 tons initially. And it was about Benghazi, excuse me, I got a little tick when that happens because we keep it out there so much. But it was Benghazi where the Russians were telling what's his name, the ambassador, Stevens, excuse me, telling him that we have to knock this off now. And then Al-Qaeda comes in and attacks and kills, Stevens and the others. That was a turning point because what had happened, and they say this in this commission, that Obama was fundamentally getting weapons to Al-Qaeda through the Muslim Brotherhood. Okay, so do we understand what that link is? So what happened is they went to Syria with all these weapons with Al-Qaeda to take on Assad. But in Syria, they had the Syrian Free Army, who were made up of Christians and Jews and other Muslims who wanted to take on Assad. But Al-Qaeda came in and took them over. But what happened? Putin stepped up and said, no, we can't have that. So what happened? The USA backed Al-Qaeda through the CIA, had to back off. They backed off, and what did they do? They got additional training from the CIA. Some of our Marines were involved. And they became ISIS and ISIL. And that's what you have now today in Iraq. They're forming a new caliphate with strict Sharia law. That's why you saw all the beheadings. That's why you saw all the other things. This is such a cheery conversation. But in all seriousness, it's coming to our town too if we don't watch out. So that's the links. You have John Brennan, who's our CIA director, who knows his background. I'm testing for understanding because I talk about this on my radio show every day. Where did he come from? He's former CIA. And he converted to Islam in 1996 in Riyadh. He became Obama's advisor when he became president. Now people are going, uh-oh. Am I connecting dots here? Yeah. See, over time, it starts to make more sense, doesn't it? You start to see the picture. So he then becomes CIA director following Benghazi. Oh, go figure. And when he becomes CIA director, he takes the oath of office on a draft copy of the Constitution. No Bible, no inalienable rights. In the Muslim world, they read that as, well, we think, because a lot of Muslims will tell you this, we think that the American Constitution is Sharia compliant. So what amendments are they going to substitute in the Constitution? Sharia law. And that was his symbolism there. Yes?
Where does Leland Yee fit into the whole situation?
Leland Yee was buying weapons. He was a gun smuggler, basically. He was buying weapons from Muslims out of the Philippines. And he was, in particular, he was buying these man pads. Are you familiar with those? They're the shoulder-mounted missiles that they fire. Shoot down aircraft, like big airliners, as they take off and land. That's what Leland Yee was into. The Muslims got to him too. So that, I don't know if that scares you half to death. It does me, yeah.
Well, when the Jews in 67 or whatever war it was, they took the Golan Heights and they took the Gaza Strip and forced to bring them back. Well, I understand a year or two ago it came out that Hamas in Gaza was broke. And then a little while later it said Obama gave $400 million.
Oh yeah, this is never ending. Hamas and Hezbollah, right? No, they're just being openly funded by the Obama administration. You have to get over it. The president is not here to help America. He is not.
What is he still doing in here?
Well, that's the problem for the politicians. And my person who I talked to about that part of it says all the politicians are pretty much compromised, either by the Muslim Brotherhood or by the cartels. so they're doing nothing. There are a few that are doing things, like Mr. Perry, Governor Perry. He's putting 1,000 National Guard on the border, which is good.
David, you're so informed. What's happening to this label closed prison?
Yeah, I'm going to get to that in a second. Thank you very much for the question. Anyway, but Rick Perry has taken and put 1,000 National Guard on the border. He's already being called a racist and all that stuff.
You don't care?
No, he doesn't care. Nor should anybody else. Yeah.
Isn't it Texas militia rather than National Guard? Or is there?
Oh.
No, there's a big difference. Jason, where's my Jason man?
He's gone.
There's a big difference between militia and National Guard. And the militia would ultimately be a last resource, but Rick Perry hasn't nationalized them, but he's called them to duty. And what he wants to do is have them federalized so that the federal government picks up the tab that he just said, I can't stand this anymore, we got to stop it. Okay? Yeah.
I think it'll get to the point where we have to hire our own mercenaries to fight back.
You know, there's a great place that will help you with some answers about self-protection. It's called Shooter's Paradise. And I'll kind of get into this. You first have to understand there's a lot of things happening at the border. Everything you're hearing about right now has been planned for years and years and years. And I have seen it coming as an educator, working in the field, working with gangs. I've worked with Southern California gangs, worked with Northern California gangs. I've worked with MS-13. Now, who are those guys?
They started in LA and we shipped them to
Salvador. Yeah, I tell this story on the radio show. When I was in Southern California, I started working at Covina High School. And we saw a huge drop in our enrollment. In my first year of teaching, we were at 2,000 students at the high school. My fifth year, we were less than 1,000. So when you create a vacuum and you have teachers, what do schools do? They open up the doors to additional students. Or communities, change. The demographics change. So we saw a huge influx of kids that were coming from East LA. And a lot of them were gang kids. And a lot of people didn't like it. So a lot of people, including myself, and that wasn't because of this, I made a job change. I got a job offer to go up to the high desert in Southern California for it was more money, that sort of thing. But what I noticed when I moved up there is all these gang kids, they were, come on down. They were following me because housing was cheaper. It was a good environment, great new schools. It was a great opportunity. And God bless the parents, because a lot of them were from intact families. These kids and their parents the parents are seeing a great opportunity to get their kids away from what? Gangs in the basin. And so they brought them up. Well, guess what they started to form when they brought their kids up in the schools? They brought the gangs. It only takes a few of the hardcore gangsters to recruit other kids. And if you don't play by the rules, something's going to happen to you until you do conform. That's just the way it is with the gangs. And it's a very vicious culture, but good proactive education, good strong parenting, and community awareness stops them. It really does. But you can't be naive about what a gangster does. I'll ask you this question. How many of you would have thrown me out of this building about 4 years ago if I made those comments about Obama? Well, I'll be honest. What? Maybe I should go to a liberal group. Okay, how many of your friends who are liberals would throw me out of this building? Or shoot me on sight, or ridicule me, or whatever. I've been talking about this for years on the radio, about what's been going on with gangs, and about people that get what are called played. Are you familiar with that term? Being played? Who knows what that is? They use you, they joke with you, and then they use you some more, right? Okay. Being played is just a natural part of being in a gang. And I submit to you that what we have seen over the last 4.5, 5, 6 years is that this country has been played like fools. Primarily by the forces who want to destroy us. And you've got communism, National Socialism, Islam, and now you have the cartels. And these cartels are working overtime with the others to destroy America. And right now there's an invasion that is on that has been planned for a long time. And I can start to throw at you a number of things. One, changes in the California Education Code and other education code sections throughout this nation over the last 5 years. I myself have fought and testified because I knew what some of the changes in laws and ed code would mean on a massive scale. 5 and 6 years ago, I saw this coming. I stood toe-to-toe with a bank of attorneys in an expulsion hearing because they were trying to not expel a gang kid, who, by the way, was connected to the cartels. We ultimately expelled him. The kid left school, so did the parents. But we knew what they were trying to do there. That was years ago. But there's other things too. AB 97. AB 97, you may have heard of this if you went to FER. Where's Julie? She left. No. But what happened there is that the school districts get an incentive, extra money, for a student if they're an immigrant student and a foster child. The Obama administration just recently announced that every foster child that wants to be picked up by a family, it's $6,000. It's $6,000 a month. Right. $6,000, yes.
These are not necessarily immigrant children. These are children of American families that are being taken out for very unsubstantial reasons, and the families are unable to get them back. Because this happened to me.
Right. What I'm referring to right now, though, you're absolutely right. And I've used to work with foster kids and families and so on. If you want to see human trafficking, this is human trafficking. Okay, it's what it is. But you're right, that's a different issue. But this is a whole new game.
No, what I mean is the schools are now getting extra money for the foster care.
The foster care is one of them.
Increases the
right.
incentive for more kids to be.
That's what AB 97 is all about. They have, if you're a foster child, immigrant child, low income, you get extra dollars as a school district. School districts are suffering from declining enrollment in the state. And they're suffering in various districts that are very heavily Democratic in this state. San Bernardino area in particular. A lot of open housing, open schools, and they're flooding the kids in there. And they're about to flood them here. Well, that's a little bit of education. What's that? Yeah, I've been interesting talking to those people over the last couple of days. Okay, so what is happening? What we're seeing has never been witnessed in our country's history ever before. And the scale and magnitude is worldwide. This is a worldwide effort to break down our borders. It's being covered by everybody. What you're seeing playing out with the airplane crash, God love those souls, is part of it. Coverage for Obama. Because the heat was building on him for what? The border. It was absolutely building on him. So they had to have another distraction, so they have to shoot down. That's why that 11:10 a.m. decision. What does it do to the media? It took everything off, didn't it, about the border? It stopped the border situation. No. But would it distract you enough from the reality that maybe 140 kids are about to move in about 8 miles from here? They're all Sureños. All Sureños is the knockoff group of the MS-13. Lilo. Yes, ma'am. Okay, let me tell you something quickly about the press. How many of you have been in the press before? A lot of the guys that people in press are about as dumb as this table, or smart as this table. I'm sorry. And I mean that. I'm really sorry. This is what happens to a lot of reporters. Hey, I've got this big story, and here it is, right here, reporter. I don't know anything. And you know what happens? They look at it, oh, that's bitching. Or they sit there and look at a videotape, that's really good. Videotape was important in telling me. Because I was listening to what was going on. Listen, I run from the broadcast and listen back and forth. And within minutes, I'd say no more than 7 or 8 minutes from the first time I heard that the plane was out of the air, they started with this whole thing about the videotape. And I said, no. Like you heard the same thing over and over and over, and that's that way today, isn't it? Yeah. Well, that's the worldwide media covering Obama from the illegal alien situation, the invasion at the border. Yes?
Where are you getting the information that these gang members are coming into Leo Chesney Center in Live Oak?
You know, I got a call from somebody on Saturday, and then I got an email from another person. And I will not tell you who these people are, obviously. And I verified the sources, and I verified I did some personal footwork, got in the car, went around and drove and talked to some people, and I verified it that way as well.
Okay, Paul, I'm not objecting because people do say things, but I also did some verifying today and was told that it had been asked about, but the city has been locked down for so long and disconnected. Leo Chesney Center. It's owned by people in Florida, but it was not going to be open in Live Oak. The city was going to absolutely forbid it to be open in any way. So if you've got something more, I really want to know it.
I do, but I'm not going to reveal all of it.
Well,
but I appreciate your information.
How do we fight it if we...
I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that because you have to be prepared for these contingencies. Because quite frankly, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of these kids, and they have to go somewhere. Hundreds of thousands.
Send them all?
Well, you have a president who's not doing that. Let me make something very clear to you, because the border agents are doing this right now. And I said to you the last time, they are what? They're abiding by their oath. The president is not, and they know it. There's a great thing out there by Zach Taylor. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Okay, Zach Taylor, Border Patrol, retired, just put out a whole new series of videos that explains everything that's going on, all the details. If you have a mindset, these kids are going to be deported, not happening. The president is going to give them amnesty. That's going to happen. All right, now, you have a bleeding heart for kids, I do too. 41 years with kids. Let me tell you what you got going on here in Kansas 13. And they've modeled themselves out of actually Africa. This is a little bit different twist. How many of you are familiar with Boko Haram? Okay. What happens in Boko Haram with the young kids? The children, 5, 6 years old. Sold for sex, slaves, what else? What's that? Soldiers. Youth soldiers. Do you know what the requirements to be a youth soldier in Boko Haram is? That would be one. With a trigger finger that has to prove themselves by killing someone else. A 5-year-old, imagine that. This is the scary part about what's going on at the border with MS-13. And listen, don't trust me. Go to the websites and listen to what Border Patrol agents are saying. I used to work with these kind of kids. I know what we're dealing with. And I cannot discount what these guys are about to tell you in these videos. These are the Border Patrol agents. Many of these kids that are coming in have had multiple murders behind them. In most cases, in order to get the cartels to pay for them to come north, they've had to kill somebody for the cartel. They could be 5, 6, 7 years old. Yes?
In the bulletin that Carla put out on page 4, there's a big article on MS-13 and the border.
And, okay, and that's with, is that the article by Clark? Or is that Taylor?
Page 4. I don't think so.
Good, thank you very much for that. That's really helpful. These are scary young kids. And I'm telling you right here now, to basically deprogram a kid like this takes years. Takes years. These kids will escape, they will get out, and they'll be in our communities. Plus, the other thing is, you know, these kids are valuable assets to the cartels outside to do drugs, to do killings, and everything else. That's the way they're viewed. If they don't perform, they're killed. They're executed. We're talking about 5, 6, 7-year-old kids. Boys, girls. Girls for prostitution, of course, sex slavery. That's what we're dealing with. It is a concern. And that's why I brought it up, because I got the phone calls about Leo Chesney. I'm familiar with Leo Chesney as an educator from this area. It is sitting vacant right now. Well, first thing, I said to myself, you know, have you ever known Leo Chesney to be vacant? In all the years I've been up here?
Yes, it's been vacant for several years.
Yeah, I think 2.5 years, right?
Yeah.
And I started wondering about that. Well, don't we have need here in our own state for that facility? And the answer is an overwhelming yes. So why was it closed? See, then I started to get suspicious, started looking around. Then I say to myself, I wonder when it's going to be reopened. Well, I know what they're saying in Live Oak. We're not going to do it, yada, yada, yada. But what speaks?
Grant money.
Grant money, yeah. You know, you cannot be led down the stream of the politicians telling you that. Because they have bigger plans. A lot of the people that are behind the money in this are, oddly enough, where are they located? Chicago. And who do they have connections with? Go figure. It's all connected. This is the largest operation of human trafficking ever known to man happening right now. Do you think they might want to shoot an airplane out of the sky to distract people? That's what we're seeing. All right, some suggestions. Learn everything you can about MS-13. Number 2, do not have a soft heart for it. It's not that we're trying to destroy kids. These kids, I'm telling you, these kids need massive therapy for years as a result of what they've done. It is not pretty. It's not pretty coming out the other side, and some will never be rehabilitated. In Boko Haram, it's the same thing there. They're following the same exact protocols as getting kids ganged up in Boko Haram. You have to kill someone to get in. You have to prove yourself as a man at 5 or 6 years old. If you don't, you're killed. If you refuse to do it, you're lined up and shot by the next guy. You need to read about this. Now, who's linked with Boko Haram? What? Well, Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda. They're linked to Al-Qaeda. So I'm just going to tell you, the Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda, and so on, they're in Central America. They're deeply involved with this. Deeply involved. And they're the ones who are putting the teams together of these kids coming forward. And these MS-13 kids are absolute valued assets to the cartels. Now I want to mention one little thing, tiny little thing about money. All the money from all these cartels and all the Muslim Brotherhood money and all that stuff that helps to run it, it goes to 1 or 2 places. It goes to the Barack H. Obama Foundation, which is run by Malik Obama, go figure. And the other one, it's all funneled to a big bank in Hong Kong. Yeah. HSBC.
I hate to change the subject, but can you mention AB 1964 and the fact that Governor Brown just signed the first anti-gun bill in California this year?
And you want to tell everybody about what that is, single shot?
Yeah, single shot exemption ban
So what is that then?
Oh, okay, me.
You're on.
I didn't know if you were.
Go ahead.
Got it.
Okay. So AB 1964 is the single shot exemption ban that was just signed on Friday, I think was the 18th. That was signed by Governor Brown. There's a way, if you guys have all heard of the California list of guns that are registered for sale in California, the legal guns. There's a way, there was, to get non-roster guns in California. They had to be shipped into a store that has their manufacturing license and their license to get firearms that are non-rostered. And then they have to manufacture them into a single-shot pistol where it fires 1 round instead of a semi-auto pistol that holds up to 10 rounds. So they manufacture it into a single-shot pistol, and then they DROS, which is the background check that they do where they register that pistol to, let's say, you as a customer. So they DROS that pistol to you under the single-shot exemption. You wait your 10, 24-hour waiting period, you come back, you pick up your single-shot pistol that is now legally yours, but it only fires 1 round. So then you go to a gunsmith sometime later on and you have that firearm gunsmithed into a 10-round magazine that's a semi-auto pistol. And there's different criteria that pistol has to meet before it can be turned into a single shot, but basically that's how people were getting a non-roster firearm in California, and it was legal. The governor just signed taking that away unless it's a break top or a bolt action pistol. Raise your hand if you have seen a bolt action pistol. Nobody? Not that I've ever seen. And a break top, has anybody seen a break top that's kind of like an over-under shotgun that snaps open? I don't maybe, yeah. And then I also just looked up, you guys have heard of the microstamping bill, right? It started in May of 2013, just last year. Well, to get a new gun on this California list, a new semi-auto pistol, not only does it have to have all these other regulations, the loaded chamber indicator, the magazine safety, they've got to submit 3 models for testing that get destroyed, and they have to pay their fee, which I call the extortion fee, by the way. But it has to have the microstamping technology in it. Well, nobody was doing it. But then California said that, oh, this isn't working, so let's up the stakes a little here. Well, companies wanted to adjust the tension on a spring that was, I don't know if you can see properly, but it looks like my fingers are closed. It's a spring that's that big. They just wanted to twist it a little bit and make it a little tighter so it was a little safer for the next year. California says, oh, hey, that's a new gun. Now it has to have microstamping technology. So nobody's going to do that. Why would they? It doesn't do anything. Microstamping doesn't solve crimes. It doesn't do anything. I'll tell you my thing later on, what I babble about that. So nobody's using microstamping technology. Therefore, we're not getting any new guns on the California list. And nobody's renewing guns unless they're not making changes. I just saw that 25 handguns were added to the list. I don't remember the date, but it was like in the last couple of months. Which means if they were semi-auto pistols, they've got what? Microstamping technology. Guess who the one of those 25 is a semi-auto pistol. The other 24 are revolvers. Guess who makes the one semi-auto pistol on that list right now? Armitex. You guys remember from last year my babbling up here about Armitex and the smart gun technology, where you've got to have a chip embedded in your arm, or you've got to wear a bracelet to activate the gun, and the government can shut it off immediately. Anybody remember my babbling about that? Sure. Well, they didn't pass the bill, so yeah, they shut it down. They're working on it, yes, they're still working on that. And Armitex was the main company that was doing that and, developing that technology. Well, they've got a semi-auto handgun on the California list right now. Check it out, Armitex.
Thanks. Okay, the question is, what can you do about what can you do about the situation that's going on right now? Because they are going to bring these kids here. They're going to get far north because just the massive numbers, and also the governor is welcoming these people. with open arms. They're coming in right now into San Bernardino, and the buses are coming north. It's obvious. I used to, program for use of facilities and educational facilities. They have an empty facility. It's been empty for 2 years. It's not making them any money. Guess what they're going to do? Then nobody's going to stop them. This is all gangsterism that's going on. These are valuable assets to the cartels. So they're going to protect their assets, and they're going to do what they can to bring them in. What we can do is be proactive, calling up people in Live Oak and saying, not in my backyard. And if it comes to protest or buses lining up and all that stuff, I can tell you one thing. The people I talked to last night and this morning said they will give us a heads up if buses start to roll this way. And that's, then we have to be out in front. That's just a protest. We got to be out in front and stop it. We have to notify everybody that this is happening. Because listen, we are at the point of lawlessness with this border situation. They're firing 50 caliber guns at our border patrol over the river right now. That was as of Friday. So these are some suggestions. I'll come back in a later time. We'll get some law enforcement. We have some pretty good law enforcement people around here who know about gangs and the recognitions. But one, recognition of what's happening. Number two, be aware. And then number three, we have to take action to stop them. There's a question.
I was wanting to find out, are some of the military bases also having people brought in on airplanes and delivered to military bases?
Yeah.
Is it really true or not?
No, this is absolutely true, and I've been talking about this for the last 6 weeks. I call them the rolling and flying petri dishes, because what's happening is that none of these kids, and I again urge you to watch the videotapes, I'm not BSing here, but a lot of these kids are not being diagnosed with anything. They're coming in shivering, cold, runny noses and the whole 9 yards. We've seen scabies, we've seen lice to the point where they're running down the faces of the kids. We've got tuberculosis. You have 120 cases at Grant High School here right now. Hello? That's called an epidemic. No, have you heard that before? We don't know. I haven't heard much, even from my source there in the Twin Rivers District. But this is the kind of stuff that's going on. And now there's even some Ebola concerns going on. So these are things that we need to protect ourselves from and our communities. And what Rick Perry did today was signal to the rest of the country, Obama is not going to do it. So it has to come up to every individual community to do something to protect ourselves. So here's your homework this time. Watch the videos. Watch those videos, that'll help. Okay, I'm done. Thank you very much. I got just a couple quick things. When we leave tonight, listen to the show, because I interview Jim Garrow, Dr. Jim Garrow, the CIA agent, 45 years. He's going to be at our conference in August 30th in Reading. And he talks about, listen to this, talk about how well planned out this is. The 8 Obamas. The 8, don't leave, Zach, don't leave. The 8 Obamas. Did you know that they were grooming 8 Obamas to be president? There's only one left. No.
Just a quick announcement that we are going to try to stay on top of the Live Oak thing and anything else in our area. And we have a Tea Party awareness group headed by Tom Burns, Tom in the back. As soon as we get information that something may be happening, we're going to mobilize, and I'll get emails out to all of you, or if you don't have an email, we'll get phone calls out. But we want to get as many people as possible with signs and so forth, and stop it immediately before it even gets started. Right now, I heard that the corporation that owns Leo Chapman is very concerned about public outcry. And so if anything looks like it's going to happen there, we're going to make it happen. You had a question here? Did you have a question, Todd? Oh, go ahead.
What's the name of the corporation?
GEO, right?
GEO, right. GEO.
Robert,
Is there a way for us to put together a telephone tree,
a what?
telephone tree, so we can notify people?